Lecture 42, Dynamic Classification of Faults. As we have mentioned before, no significant shearing traction acts along the air-earth, or water-earth interface. Therefore, at shallow depths, one of the principal stresses must be perpendicular to the Earth's surface. In areas of little or no relief, this means that one of the principal stresses is vertical. This leads to a threefold dynamic classification of faults. This classification is known as the Anderson's classification of faults. The dynamic or Anderson's classification of faults is summarized in this figure, using lower hemisphere stereo-nets. Notice that for all the three fault regimes, there are two possible faults. If both of these faults are present, they are called conjugate faults. In normal faults, sigma 1 is vertical, and sigma 2 and sigma 3 are horizontal. Sigma 2 is at the intersection of the faults, and sigma 3 is perpendicular to the faults. The dip of the faults is 45 degrees plus the angle of internal friction, phi, divided by 2. For an angle of internal friction, phi, of 30 degrees, the dip of the faults is 60 degrees. The slip on the faults is dip slip. In strike-slip faults, sigma 2 is vertical, and sigma 1 and sigma 3 are horizontal. Sigma 2 is at the intersection of the faults. Sigma 1 bisects the acute angle between the faults, and sigma 3 bisects the obtuse angle between the faults. The faults are vertical and the slip is horizontal. In thrust faults, sigma 3 is vertical, and sigma 1 and sigma 2 are horizontal. Sigma 2 is at the intersection of the faults, and sigma 1 is perpendicular to the faults. The dip of the faults is 45 degrees minus the angle of internal friction, phi, divided by 2. For an angle of internal friction, phi, of 30 degrees, the dip of the faults is 30 degrees. The slip on the faults is dip slip. This figure illustrates the same classification, but using fault blocks. If we have a set of conjugate faults, we can determine the orientation of the stresses that form these faults, using the following observations. The faults intersect to fix the sigma 2 direction. The acute angle between the conjugate planes is 2 beta, and this angle is bisected by sigma 1. Beta is equal to 45 minus phi divided by 2. The slip direction is defined by the intersection of the fault plane, and the sigma 1 sigma 3 plane. And the sense of slip is such, that the wedge containing sigma 1 moves inward. This is clear in this figure. The rock wedge containing sigma 1 moves inward. The faults intersect at the sigma 2 direction. And the slip direction is defined by the intersection of the fault plane, and the sigma 1 sigma 3 plane. Here is one example, given two conjugate faults with orientations north 24 west, 50 west, and north 48 west, 76 northeast, determine the orientation of the principal stresses, the direction and sense of slip, and the angle of internal friction. We start by plotting the fault planes. The faults intersect at sigma 2. Sigma 2 is the pole of the plane containing sigma 1 and sigma 3. We can trace the sigma 1 sigma 3 plane. The intersection of the sigma 1 sigma 3 plane defines the slip vectors on the faults. Sigma 1 bisects the acute angle between the fault planes. Sigma 3 is at 90 degrees from sigma 1, on the S1, S2 plane. The acute angle between the faults is 58 degrees. Therefore, beta is 29 degrees. This means that phi is equal to 32 degrees. The World Stress Map is a global database of the present tectonic stress in the Earth's crust. The stress indicators are earthquake focal mechanisms, well-bore breakouts, and drilling-induced fractures. In situ stress measurements such as overcoring and hydraulic fracturing, as well as active geologic indicators such as fault slip data and volcanic vent alignments, are also included. The World Stress Map displays the maximum horizontal stress, sigma capital H. Sigma capital H is colored by the fault regime, as in the dynamic fault classification by Anderson. Red means the normal fault regime, where sigma V is equal to sigma 1, sigma capital H is equal to sigma 2, and sigma H is equal to sigma 3. Green means the strike-slip fault regime, where sigma V is equal to sigma 2, sigma capital H is equal to sigma 1, and sigma H is equal to sigma 3. And blue means the thrust fault regime, where sigma V is equal to sigma 3, sigma capital H is equal to sigma 1, and sigma H is equal to sigma 2. The faulting regimes are related to plate tectonics. At divergent plate boundaries, where new oceanic crust is formed, the normal fault regime is present. At convergent plate boundaries, where oceanic crust is destroyed, the thrust fault regime is present in the arc, forearc, and backarc regions. Continental passive margins display normal faulting near the continent, and thrust faulting deep in the ocean. Ridge push at divergent margins, and slab pull at convergent margins, as well as basal drag at the base of the lithosphere, contribute to the stress field. This is nicely illustrated in the world stress map. At the margins of mountain belts, such as the Andes, the Zagros, and the Himalayas, thrust faulting predominates. Normal faulting is present in areas of active extension, such as the East African Rift, the Peloponnese region, and the high plateaus of the Andes and the Himalayas. Strike-slip faulting is present along the San Andreas strike-slip fault system, and the northern Caribbean. Trenches are nicely defined by normal faulting in the shallow parts, because of slab bending, and thrust faulting in the deep parts because of interplate movement. This is the stress map for Norway and the Norwegian continental sector. Notice that in many areas in the North Sea and Norwegian Sea, strike-slip and thrust fault regimes are present. These are related to the latest glacial rebound of Norway, but they can also be the result of uncertainty in the magnitude of sigma 2, which makes difficult to distinguish between the faulting regimes. To learn more about this, read sections 10.6 to 10.9 of Reagan. And answer these questions.